Hello, my baby gorillas, and here we are with the political vendetta. And very interesting. I don't think we should underestimate the vendetta. And although politics is not exactly gangsterism, where people in the democracies are getting murdered to the greater extent, that I think Coppola has encapsulated the political dynamics rather well in Godfather. The Godfather at the funeral scene. And basically what this is Michael Corleone being set up to be, I think, what they call it in the parlay, whacked. So, Michael Corleone is being manoeuvred and set up to be taken out. Now, what's this in relation to politics? Well, I'll come on talk about what is happening with Alex Salmond. And Alex Salmond's a very interesting political victim because Alex Salmond was already out of politics. And he wasn't, unless Alex Salmond was making a comeback and people felt, whether it be the unionists or internally within the SNP, that this was a political threat, then we don't know. Certainly, I would suggest that Alex Salmond was a much better politician than Nicola Sturgeon, regardless of whether or not the cases, the sex cases were correct or not. But I would suggest that Alex Salmond was a better First Minister for Scotland than Nicola Sturgeon, especially after the 10 years and what Nicola has done in office. I don't believe that. I think now, reflecting on what Nicola Sturgeon is doing, that her time is nearly up, although she's still winning elections. And my thought is that the SNP, because there isn't much competition just now, will still win the majority of seats at the next election. But she is slipping both internally and externally now. There is weaknesses. She's had her 10 years in power, and there are now issues. Joanna Cherry, although Joanna Cherry and my relationship is not very good, that Joanna Cherry is an intelligent woman. She's a QC and also Alex Salmond's ally. So there must be a factionalism within the SNP. And how this factionalism, because Alex Salmond was very much on the left of the party as well. And Nicola Sturgeon was very much seen as his young apprentice. And it's very interesting, a bit like Obi-Wan Kenobi and Darth Vader, or Anakin. The schism in a friendship, or certainly, if not a friendship, certainly a political relationship, may be being played out in front of us, although Nicola Sturgeon has denied that there has been any schism in the relationship. Also, both Nicola and Alex and the SNP have got to watch for the unionists, because obviously any political actor is good when they sow divisions within a political movement, which is easily done. And you usually find that the people who have the most to gain will be somewhat involved. Now, it could be internally and it could be externally. I've not quite worked it out, although there were two SNP women in the accusations. However, one of the women is allegedly connected to somebody high up in the SNP. That's one of the allegations, one of the accusers. And they try to put in a complaint should Alex Salmond ever try to get back into the SNP, that there would be a complaint there to prevent him reapplying to join the SNP, because the women from the SNP had made a complaint internally. So, I mean, it's incredible that this is actually happening. And I think this scene in The Godfather plays out very much what the political vendetta that might actually happen after the coronavirus alleviates itself. And let's just watch Michael Corleone. Could be the Alex Salmond character, because Alex Salmond is a political heavyweight. I would suggest that Alex Salmond is a bigger political heavyweight than Nicola Sturgeon, although again Nicola Sturgeon is an intelligent woman. I think that Alex Salmond was a better First Minister, and that's certainly something that is debatable. But I think it's objective, but I would suggest that Alex Salmond, along with Farage and Nigel, is probably the best politicians that have come out of non-mainstream parties. Although the SNP in Scotland is certainly the mainstream party now. So let's have a wee look at Michael Corleone at the funeral scene and see if we can draw parallels with what's happening internally within the SNP.
He wants to arrange a meeting. He says we can straighten any of our problems out. You talked to him? Yeah. I can arrange security. On my territory. All right. Right. All right. You know how they're gonna come at you?
They're arranging a meeting in Brooklyn, Tessio's ground, where I'll be safe.
I always thought it would have been Clemenza, not Tessio.
It's the smart move. Tessio was always smarter. But I'm gonna wait. After the baptism. I've decided to be godfather to Connie's baby. And then I'll meet with Don Bazzini and Tatalia. All the heads of the 5 families.
So absolutely fascinating. So let's just skip out of this and see if you. It'd be very interesting to see your interpretations into that wee scene there from The Godfather, the funeral scenes, and what I'm about to read to you just now. So let me just increase that. So this is from The Guardian, but this is very much, I don't know if the Guardian's watching the Guerilla TV channel, but it's very much what I've already said. And it's an editorial as well, so it's very much what I've already said on the Guerilla TV channel with regards to Alex Salmond. Now, could this be the Unionists that are actually doing this involvement here in this episode? You don't know, or internally within the Labour Party, the SNP. So the Guardian view on Alex Salmond: a battle ends and a battle begins. The former First Minister was acquitted on all sexual offence charges. Now, a lot of these charges, I was there at the defence summation, and a lot of these charges seemed very benign. I think there was maybe two slightly serious charges, and a lot of them seemed to be involved Mr. Salmond having a few to drink and trying to chat up some of the people that were working with him. I make a rule of not chatting up anybody I'm working with. That's my rule. That's the way that I've always dealt with things when I'm in business. Don't make business and pleasure. But obviously the First Minister might have been a wee bit... I think his defence team said he might have been a wee bit sort of jovial, but it didn't seem very serious, the accusations, and that's why I surmised that he was going to be found not guilty, and I think this is proven to be true. So now he's taking the fight to his political accusers. So this sounds like there is an internal battle. So I was correct again saying that this could be an internal struggle, and this could very much have a big effect on the party, because if the SNP are now going to fight amongst themselves, that will certainly weaken the party and actually see the party divided and less electable. Now, Joanna Cherry and Alex Salmond are meant to be political cohorts as well. So it's very interesting now seeing the power dynamic between two lawyers, which will be Nicola Sturgeon and Joanna Cherry. Joanna Cherry fighting against Mr. Robertson. Again, I think Robertson's an ally of Nicola Sturgeon. So for the same seat, Ruth Davison's seat. So there's a whole plethora of internal politicking going on, and obviously with Nicola being in power for the last 10 years, it looks like the SNP are getting a bit stale in the political ideas, and maybe like the Godfather, there is aspirations for other people to take out the Godfather, in this case the First Minister Nicola Sturgeon, and to replace her with somebody else. I personally think there's a problem, an underlying problem in left-wing politics in Scotland, and that's the issue. But that we'll certainly discuss that later on. I think we need to get more to the centre of politics and not in this sort of extreme left. So this is obviously from The Guardian, and you'll see the similarities in what The Guardian editorial has written and what I've already said on the Guerilla TV channel. From the moment that Alex Salmond found himself facing allegations of sexual misconduct in office, it was clear his trial would have huge consequences. So it has proven, or so it's proved. Mr. Salmond is 21st century Scotland's most significant politician. The 13 cases of sexual offences involving, I thought it was 10 women, it says 9 in the Guardian here, mostly Scottish Government or National Party officials. So as I said, I'd already said that it was either government officials or Scottish National Party officials. So this is very much, although these women may well have had founded allegations, it sounds very much like politicking as well. So there is an under element of politicking. Maybe that were on the jury's minds as well. Mostly Scottish Government or National Party officials were extremely serious. The former First Minister has always been a Marmite politician, as his defence lawyer admitted to the jury last week, adding that Mr. Salmond could have been a better man. So that leaves a wee bit to interpretation. I always, as I said, always do not mix business and pleasure, and keep my business and political life very much on a level, and don't try and mix them. Whatever the outcome of the trial, the consequences were likely to be explosive. Mr. Salmond's acquittal on all counts this week ensures that. High on any list of the immediate consequences of such a high-profile case is where it leaves women who accuse men of sexual harassment. Now, I think that sexual harassment, there has to be more clearly defined terms. I think that now, in certain circumstances, sexual harassment can actually mean literally anything. A woman can harass a man, and then if the man sort of defends himself, so even doesn't touch a woman, you can get done with sexual harassment and now sexual assault without even touching somebody, which is ridiculous. And there's accusations that women are now, especially a minority of feminists and a lot of the lesbian feminists who want to really complicate heterosexual relationships for their own nefarious devices, these sort of TERFs, that they're like, and this is why the if Nicola Sturgeon's a lesbian, that she's actually got a shoe in the game, that she doesn't want heterosexual relationships to be empowered. They would like to see everything as harassment, everything as oppression, and this is right out the cultural Marxist school from the Frankfurt School. This is cultural Marxism, and it sounds like Nicola Sturgeon is a cultural Marxist. She's certainly on the left of the SNP and certainly authoritarian. She doesn't listen very much either. And this is why I think there's going to be a fight now. I think both externally for the SNP with the unionists now closing in on Nicola Sturgeon, and internally now within because Nicola's been in for about 10 years anyway, that the politics are starting to get a bit stale, and that it just is the natural consequence of one person being in charge for that length of time. And you just sometimes need to get new people in, new political parties in as well, not just moving chairs on the Titanic. You have to get new political parties in, and maybe go out with the Lib Lab Con Party, the Greens and the SNP, whom he charges with, let me go back here. The impact is likely to be compounded by Mr. Salmond's intention to take the fight to his accusers and to attack senior figures in the SNP and the Scottish Government, above all, his successor Nicola Sturgeon. So he did think it was Nicola Sturgeon. I was shouting out questions, as you heard, me asking him about whether or not it was Nicola Sturgeon. So the apprentice is turned on the master. But like Star Wars here. But I don't understand. Alex Salmond was not, as far as I could see, was not a political threat unless he was going to do a comeback. Now, Alex Salmond is a master of political comebacks. But I don't know why, unless there was Alex Salmond was back in another team that had another candidates that was trying to undermine Nicola Sturgeon. That would be the only sort of reason I would see, because there would be no point in attacking Alex Salmond because he was out of politics. You probably actually stimulated them to come back in to politics in a bigger fashion. So, intention to take his fight to accusers and Nicola Sturgeon, whom he charges with conspiracy to remove him from politics. Well, he was pretty much removed from politics after the referendum. And he wasn't, as far as I was having his political say now and again, but he wasn't having a great input into politics. And very much now at that point a political peripheral player. But if Nicola has been involved in doing this, then she's brought him right back in with his knives out. Mr. Salmond may sue the Scottish Government. He wants to put his case to Hollywood inquiry. He is writing a book. His supporters are revved up. If nothing else, this is a difficult environment for victims. Well, we don't know if they're actually victims because obviously he's been found guilty or not proven. So you're obviously not then a victim if you've not the case has not been successful. Whether or not there's civil action to be taken, I'm not sure. But this is where we need to bring in polygraph tests and lie detector tests to find out who's telling the truth in these. So you need a lie detector test for the accuser and the accused, and that way it's not my word against his, and we can find out. Now there is meant to be problems with the polygraph test, because if you get somebody who's a sociopath who believes their own lies, I've met people like that and women like that, that they believe their own lies, then they can convince themselves that they are not lying. But it's better, then you can actually start to hone into if they have underlying issues like that would actually make them like that. And that's why they could pass the test if both of them. If both people are sociopaths, then that's obviously different. But the vast majority of people aren't, and the polygraph test will work. And if people are failing the polygraph test and they're the accuser, it's the person who's accused that's the victim. And we have to bring in legislation that puts people in jail for deliberately making false allegations, that can be destroy people's lives. Sometimes it doesn't even have to take to get the person in court for that person's life to be destroyed, and for that person who's been accused of doing it to be the victim, and the accuser to be the perpetrator. The struggle between Mr. Salmond and Miss Sturgeon. Ms. Sturgeon, see that I think they're all trying to insinuate that I was correct and there is allegations that she is actually a lesbian. Can only generate problems for the SNP, but the battle draws energy from other issues. Mr. Salmond thinks Miss Sturgeon has become too cautious in her efforts to break Scotland away from the Union. And not only that, but also there's been allegations that she's basically sold out to the Trilateral Committee, and very similar to Keir Starmer. So we've got the head of the SNP, the First Minister of Scotland, who may be being controlled by the Trilateral Committee. And we've also got Keir Starmer, the soon-to-be leader of the Labour Party, there with the Trilateral Committee. So an SNP and the leader of the Labour Party are potentially globalists. And I'm going to make a video on the globalists in a second. Some of his supporters dislike Miss Sturgeon's feminism and her backing for women and the LGBT activists within the party. Yeah, well, I think she's failing to grow the population here, and their only solution is to import a new population. So there is issues there with her, and the feminism that she's wanting is one rule for her and one for another. So because if she is a cultural Marxist, that she's oppressed for being a woman and being gay, but she is also in charge of the country. So she can make rules to suit her, but not fair rules that are equal amongst other people. So that's why she doesn't listen. She's I think ideologically driven. I mean, it's quite interesting, obviously, that she believes in the European Union, but believes in nationalism for Scotland. And she's a globalist and potentially a Marxist, so she's would be a national socialist, but an international socialist. I mean, it's a very weird set of contradictory ideals, and also having a Muslim as your justice secretary who believes in putting women in bin bags and cutting off their genitals, and oh dear, you could go on, killing homosexuals. I mean, she's got a justice minister who's a Muslim, and Islam teaches to kill homosexuals. I mean, the amount of political contradictions is just quite staggering. Many of Miss Sturgeon's supporters dislike Mr. Salmond's bombastic style and his involvement with the Kremlin-backed RT broadcaster. It adds up to a bitter yet complex fight for supremacy. So there's obviously two factions here, but as far as I could see, that Alex Salmond was pretty much taking a back seat. Okay, he had the RT thing and he had his own wee thing going on Facebook, and he was politically commenting, but he wasn't, as far as I could see from outside the SNP, holding any significant power within the SNP. Although he has got gravitas, political gravitas. It added up to a bitter yet complex fight for supremacy, which would be fought out in multiple ways, including SNP candidacies for next year's Holyrood elections. There is nothing in this for the SNP. The party remains... Come on. The party remains ascendant as the 2019 general election confirmed. Its rivals are all in various states of eclipse, yet the SNP have been in government since 2007, so they've been in nearly 13 years, and it's all getting a bit samey. Its record on domestic issues is not one to boast about. Once the power struggle is resolved, the SNP will either be led by a woman who is responsible for a vulnerable record, or by the man who pitched to the court, in the words of his own former speechwriter this week, "I am sleazy but not criminal." Well, I think there's a few people like that, both men and women. So... and it doesn't make you a bad person, and he still holds more political gravitas than Nicola Sturgeon. Could Alex Salmond come back and lead the SNP? Is there other people within the SNP, maybe within his faction, that Alex Salmond would back and want to lead? It would certainly be an interesting comeback if Alex Salmond did come back and fight a seat. That would be just an incredible situation. But I think Nicola Sturgeon's increasingly too far to the left. We need to get back to a more central place in politics. Traditional voters punished divided parties. As I said before, we shall soon see if the rule applies to the SNP, if, and it is an enormous if, one or more of the opposition parties gets its act together, or a new political party, they didn't mention that, the SNP could struggle to win the decisive majority in 2021 that it seeks in order to increase the pressure for another referendum. So I think just now they're still going to win a majority in the next referendum. A majority in the next Scottish elections. Whether or not that's reduced, we'll find out over the next year. Nicola's not very good at compromising, so she would probably be better actually getting Alex Salmond and some heavyweights in the political sphere back in the Scottish Parliament. Doesn't look like there's very much happening with their MPs down in Westminster. I've been unimpressed with the SNP presence in Westminster. I've been unimpressed with the political position, where they seem to be very much of the left, very much of the hard left. Just now, although very strange, contradictory political stances they've got as well. Right now, all this awaits the outcome of the coronavirus emergency. All politics, even the SNP internal battle, has to defer to the public health crisis, yet the COVID-19 lockdown will play its part when politics resumes. The crisis put Miss Sturgeon in the spotlight, and she's handling it well, more surely and fluently for many than Boris Johnson in London. Yet it is also the UK Treasury with deep pockets and borrowing ability that has stood behind Scotland's economy as the crisis has brought Britain to a standstill. Scottish voters will have factored both realities into their view of the SNP that eventually emerged from its own anticipated civil war and national crisis that now engulfs us all. Since you're here, we are asking readers contributions to support blah blah blah. Yeah, so in my comments, support me as a journalist, guys. That's it. You know, I'm bringing you the most up-to-date, most interesting parts of politics anyway, and I'm ahead of the curve. The Guardian's probably writing articles on my analysis, so if you want to support me, there is ways of supporting me in the actual descriptions, which I'll get on to later on. So, the war is on. Alex Salmond versus Nicola Sturgeon. Is Alex Salmond going to make a political comeback? Only time will tell, my baby gorillas. Hope you find that interesting. I was correct as usual. So, let's see what happens. Love you guys.